Hey guys, Whitney at the Holiday Homestead here. I wanted to make a video for you guys about companion planting. It's something that I feel really strongly about because companion planting is one of the best ways to harness a lot of the opportunity that plants give us to kind of nurture each other, but also to harness some of those good relationships. So I'm just going to jump right into it. So what I'm going to be companion planting today is cayenne peppers. These are red cayenne peppers that I started from seed in my little windowsill greenhouse. And again, it's the same setup as I always use. Baker Creek heirloom seeds, and then my 32-ounce yogurt containers. These things are amazing. They give me tons of space for my roots to grow. And because I have more space in my seedling container, I'm able to plant 4. So I've got 4 seedlings in here, all of which are going to come out and go into our beds here. So these beds are the layer method that I use with soil, compost, rabbit manure, cardboard, kind of soil, compost, rabbit manure, then mulch up top. This bed has a combination of rabbit and goat manure in it from our own animals. Um, and we definitely use what we have here on the property instead of buying outside implements. So that's all that's in these beds, and this is what I've been using for, oh gosh, 2 years now for gardening, and it's working because we get crazy amount of tomatoes every year. So what I've already got in the beds here, I should say also, this is my greenhouse. This is my 20 by 10 foot quick tent greenhouse. It's really sturdy. It's a great, greenhouse. It was like, I don't know, just under 200 off of Amazon. And it's got 4 windows on each side, 2 doors. It was really easy to set up, and it's pretty sturdy. It's lasted a year and a half so far, and with no problems really. We've had snow out here. We've had some pretty hot summers, and it's held up pretty well. So anyway, so what I've got in here right now are tomatoes. I plant all of our tomatoes from seeds in my windowsill, then down here. But I put all the tomatoes, all the nightshades in the greenhouse. We get really cool evenings here, even in the dead of summer when it's like 90 or 100 degrees. It dips down to 70s, 60s at night, which is really great for us because it's quite comfortable. But for plants, it's not so awesome, especially for nightshade plants, and especially for plants that need lots of heat, like peppers and tomatoes. So we got the greenhouse, and we put the tomatoes in the greenhouse, and we had a much better yield. It was just a fantastic year. That was just a wonderful tomato year. Anyway, so we're replicating that. It worked, so we're doing it again. So what I have here are my peppers, and everyone talks about companion planting, for pest resistant or for pest deterrence, for nitrogen fixing, for just having the same stuff in the same bed. All of those are good reasons, and in addition, I like that it saves space. Um, a lot of times when I'm companion planting, I'll try to use something that uses either underground and then above ground, or understory and then upper story. So I'll give you like the full list, but basically I'll plant things that um, don't compete for the same space or the same nutrients. And so that's the general concept of companion planting. You don't want to plant two plants together that are fighting for the same space, like carrots and potatoes. I'm not going to plant those right next to each other because they're both growing underground. I know some people do, and that's totally fine. But when I have tried those different methods, every time, if the plants are competing for the same space, it really affects both plants negatively. Um, so so that being said, my tomatoes and my peppers are growing in the same space, but I'm going to plant them further away from each other. So I don't know if you guys can see on here, but this is about 18 inches of space between where the tomatoes are and where I'm going to put my peppers. Mostly, I'm putting the peppers in here because they need the heat and they do grow well around tomatoes. But it just depends. So just don't crowd them up too tight. But things that I will crowd up pretty tight are like corn and watermelons. I've done that. And the watermelons love a little bit of shade. They both need tons of water. And so I'll be sure to water that bed really, really well. And the corn loves that the watermelon kind of shades its roots and gives it a little bit of coverage. Also, beans are amazing for basically any plant, any vegetable that you're going to be trying to get going. Beans will help, beans and peas, because they fix nitrogen in the soil, so they improve your soil quality. So let's just get into transplanting these, and I can give you more info as we go. So the first thing I'm going to do whenever I'm transplanting anything is dig the hole. And so, hope you guys can see this. I'll start over here. There we go. There we go. That's a little better. So I'm going to dig the hole into my layers, and I'm punching through. I'm punching through probably 4 layers of different soil um, and compost amendments. So I've got the soil down the bottom, the rabbit manure, compost, and just layer, layer, layer. And then I've got my cardboard on here, and I'm just punching a nice big hole through that. So once I've kind of got my hole set up there, and I try to make it pretty wide, give your plant some room. I just kind of chop up the soil right there so it's a little bit softer. Then I'm taking my smaller trowel and going in here and cutting my seedling out. And I did another video on transplanting seedlings, but basically, yeah, you're going to cut some roots when you're transplanting with this method of growing them all together. But overall, you do end up with a lot of roots in here, and then you just ease that right down into the ground. And you can use your hand or trowel or whatever, but you just want to bring all that soil back in around the plant, and Bob's your uncle. There you go. All right, so anyway, so with companion planting, there are all kinds of lists you can get online that will show you different companion plants that go well together. But like I said, basically any plant will go well with beans and peas. And I use companion planting with beans and peas quite a bit. Especially, so pretty much my beans are my summer companion plants, and my peas are my winter companion plants. So for the summer, let's see, this summer I'm doing potatoes and beans together. It's something different, something new I'm trying, because I'm branching out, getting away from parsnips. I was doing parsnips for a long time, and I've just decided from a sustainability standpoint and from how much time they take to mature, it just wasn't worth it to me, even though I love parsnips. And so I'm still going to grow them, but just not on a very large scale. It's going to be more like a smaller pot and maybe a corner of my raised beds, mostly just to keep the seeds going. So I always have parsnip seeds, because parsnip seeds only last for a year. Just remember that. They only last for about a year. So it's really important to keep those seeds going in your garden if you want to keep them going into the future. So I'll keep them going every year for that reason. But basically, I'm changing up my parsnips into potatoes, mostly because potatoes produce more, and because they don't produce a huge amount up top as much as they produce down bottom. So there's more top level space that I can use to companion plant other things in that space. And I mean, a lot of people say, oh gosh, companion planting is for if you have a really small space and you need to maximize that small space. I do have a relatively large amount of space. I have 2 gardens, soon to be 3. So I'm not hurting for space as much. It's more, like I was saying earlier, harnessing um, those beneficial relationships, and then also finding ways that the plants can kind of enrich each other's production. And those things are really important to me. I want to be as close to the natural cycle of that plant as possible. And, if it would grow well in nature next to another plant, then yeah, I'd like to find that plant and see how well they work together. So there's a lot of reasons for it, but I do companion plant quite a bit, even though I have a pretty large amount of space to work with. So here we go. Last pepper in the ground. Gonna work it around a little bit. There we go, buddy. All right. So now I have a new container for more seedlings. Yay! Okay, so anyway, so I mentioned companion planting corn with watermelons. I also do corn with sunflowers. They do kind of compete a little bit, but the sunflowers really help to draw the